Have you ever had a solid profit on a trade and then the market pulled back and took away a big part of that profit? Or you're looking at an open position in profit and thinking, should I close everything now or hold it and risk the market coming back? If so, a simple solution is to take partial profits. In other words, you close part of the position and leave the rest open to keep working if the move continues. In this video, I'll show you the simplest way to do that in MetaTrader 4 and MetaTrader 5. I'll also show you how to set it up in a repeatable way so you're not making decisions in a rush, but following clear rules. Now let's jump into the practical part. I'll show you how to automate partial closing. For that, we'll use the InvestSoft Trade Manager add-on for MT4 and MT5. In this example, I'm working on MT5, so I'm opening the platform, loading a chart, and launching Trade Manager. On the chart, I draw a risk to reward ratio block so we can clearly see the stop loss and take profit levels. Then I switch to the second tab in the panel. This is where we configure partial closing separately for profit and separately for loss. In this video, we'll focus on taking partial profit. We can define up to 4 levels so we can split our exit into multiple steps. Before we go through the settings, I enable TP1 so it appears on the chart right away and you can see how the level changes when we adjust parameters. For each level, we set 2 things. First, how much of the position we want to close. Second, when it should happen, meaning what distance or condition will trigger that partial close. For the position size, we can define it as a percentage of the initial volume. For example, if my trade size is 0.60 lots and I set 20%, Trade Manager automatically calculates that it will close 0.12 lots. If you click the percent button, you can switch to the other mode and define the portion as a fixed lot amount instead. Now let's move to the trigger distance, meaning when the partial close should execute. The first option is a fixed distance in pips from the entry price. For example, I set 30 pips from entry, and when the position reaches 30 pips in profit, the partial close will execute. The second option is a percentage of the distance to the final take profit. If my final take profit is 150 pips, and I set 15%, then the partial close will happen after 15% of that distance, which in this case is 22.5 pips. The third option is risk to reward ratio. If my stop loss is 50 pips and I set 0.5 RR, then the partial close happens when profit reaches half of the stop loss distance, so 25 pips. The fourth option is a specific price level. Instead of pips, percent, or RR, I simply enter a price. If I have a buy trade with entry around 1.3681, I can enter 1.3720, and the partial close will execute exactly at that price. There's also one more way to set these levels. You can drag them directly on the chart. This is especially useful if you want to place partial close levels around key support or resistance zones. Now let's plan the trade. I draw the entry, stop loss, and take profit levels on the chart. I also set the risk to reward block to follow the current price, because I'm planning to open a market buy order. Next, on the second tab in the panel, I define the partial closing settings. I'm going to activate 3 levels. The first partial close will happen after 10 pips, the second after 20 pips, the third after 30 pips, and the remaining position will be closed at the final take profit. I add all 3 levels to the trade, and then I set what portion will be closed at each level, while watching how much of the total profit will be realized at every step. Once everything is ready, I click the buy button, and the trade is now open. After the trade is opened, I click the information bar near the entry price to expand the details. I can see the stop loss, take profit, and I can also see our partial closing levels. And this is useful because at this stage I can still adjust them on the open position. I can do it in 2 ways. If I want to change something precisely, I click the gear icon. The settings window opens, and in the partial profit closing section, I can see all my levels. I can adjust values or disable a level if I decide I don't need it. The second option is simply dragging the bars on the chart. Once everything is adjusted, we just wait for price to reach the first level. At this moment, we can see price has touched TP1. The level turns gray immediately, which means it has been executed. And from this point, we can't modify or disable that level anymore, because the partial close has already happened. At the end, I'll show you one more option. Manual partial closing. This is useful when you don't want to automate the exit or when you have several trades open and you want to quickly take some profit across the whole group. Now we open 3 sell trades, each at 0.2 lots. When I want to manually close part of these trades, I go to the main panel on the first tab and open the break-even and partial close section. Next to the close part button, I choose percent and set it to 25%. That will close 0.05 lots in each open trade. I click Close Part, and we can see the lot size reduced on all trades. One important note, this is always a percentage of the current open volume. So if I reduce the trades by 1/4, we now have 0.15 lots remaining in each trade. Now I set 50%, click again, and you can see the position size is reduced again, meaning half of the remaining 0.15 lots in each trade is closed. I can also choose not to use percentages and close a fixed lot amount instead. I click the unit button, switch from percent to lots, enter, for example, 0.05 lots, and click Close Part. And now we can see each open position is reduced by exactly 0.05 lots. And that's basically it. You have two approaches: automated partial closing levels or manual quick position reduction, even across an entire group of trades. If you want to learn more about Trade Manager for MT4 and MT5, watch the next video on the screen. I also left additional details in the video description.